siwashaye sawaphephetha amahora amabili wonke uyaphuthela kodwa ngoba phela siyakuzwela sokunika nje ihora lokugcina sikuzwise singakuvaleli phela ngaphandle yazi umbukeli abantu banokungibuza ukuthi ena indaba ngingenayo le app le ye load shedding ngithi nje mina hawu angiyifuni ngiyayithandela nje nami kuyibabazela ngilokhu ngithe hawu ugesi awusekho masubuya bese ngithi hawu usubuyile mangibona ungasahambi ngithi hawu ugesi awuhambi namhlanje kholosa wena unayo le app yelo shedding
hayi tuka lokusana sibambene ngamanqaku sobabili
siyafana mina nawe
siyafana I mean kaloku uyandazi into yobana unisikele enqathi awunishiyi ngasemva wena that's one thing I know asoze unishiye ngasemva siyafanana right mbukeli masiphinde ke siphotise sibulise kubo bonke ababukeli bethu ngoku ke sikwiyure yokugqibela yenkqubo sele ke sizikhabela ezipalini lapho ke siza kuthi siqhubeke siniphakela sinikela kaloku sinisikela kulovimba wethu ngenjongo zokuqinisekisa ukuba nisoloko nisazi ngako konke okusingqongileyo ayike mani nganirhalisi ngiqonda anisaba weli ndivele enqale ngqo apho kuvele khona ithole nali uvimba wethu Ekhaya wafunyanwa enetyala lokudlwengulwa umntwana ngenyanga kaTshazimpuzi uza kwetyelwa kwinkundla ephakamileyo eRhawutini namhlanje.
Umengameli uCyril Ramaphosa uthi amazwe amahlanu enhlangano iBRICS azobhunga ngokwengezwa kwamanye amazwe kule nhlangano ngesonto elizayo.
Sanmanon bafethu ninjani, this is your boy Mduduzi Ncube and you're watching Ekhaya Jikelele, where we give you Izindaba, we give you music and we give you entertainment bafethu. Please stay tuned from Mondays to Fridays. Sibangene sithi kelangalinyeke kolunga konke shwe.
Ekhaya wafunyaniswa enetyala lokudlwengulwa umntwana ngenyanga kaTshazimpuzi uza kwetyelwa kwinkundla ephakamileyo eRhawutini namhlanje. Ekhaya waye wafunyaniswa enetyala lokuba nemifanekiso yamanyala yabantwana wabekwa ityala kunye nowayesakuba nguJudge Paul Kennedy owasweleka ngokuzibulala emva kokubanjwa kwakhe.
Kulindeleke ukuthi umbuso ubize omunye ufakazi ecaleni lokubulawa kaSenzo Meyiwa uma seliqhubeka namhlanje leli icala enkantolo ephakome ehleli ePitoli. Ngesonto eledlule kwabizwa ongoti ababili abacwaninga imininingwane egcinwe komakhalekhukhwini kanti ke bahlana balisa babhekene necala lokubulawa uMeyiwa owabe unozinti webafana. Ngesonto ke eledlule uElfas Mashwana watshela inkantolo ukuthi imininingwane eyatholwa komakhalekhukhwini babantu ababesendlini kubulawa uMeyiwa ayizange iguqulwe yize ke kunjalo wehluleka kodwa ukuthola imininingwane eyabigcinwe kumakhalekhukhwini kamufi uSenzo Meyiwa.
Ityala lobuqhophololo norhwaphilizo lowayesakuba ngusodolophu waseThekwini uZandile Gumede kunye nabatyholwa naye abayi-21 malunga nethenda yenkunkuma exabisa i-320 yezigidi zerandi liyaqhubeka kwinkundla ephakamileyo yaseThekwini namhlanje. Kulindeleke ukuba urhulumente aqhubeke phambili nobungqina ngegosa esele lisidla umhlala phantsi lecandelo lenkunkuma eqinileyo kamasipala. Kwiveki ephelileyo uJudge Shemaine Bolton uwehlehlise lo mbandela ukuze umbuso ulungelanise ngokufanelekileyo amaxwebhu awo asetyenziswa njengemiboniso kulomba. Abakhuseli baye bakhalaza ngongawafumani amanye amaphepha. Amaxwebhu enza inxalenye ezibalulekileyo zobungqina bukarhulumente etyaleni.
Umengameli wezwe uCyril Ramaphosa uthi abaholi bamazwe amahlanu enhlanganweni iBRICS bazobhunga kabanzi ngokwengezwa kwamanye amalungu kulenhlangano. Lokho kuzokwenziwa engqungqutheleni yalamazwe ezobe ihlele egoli ngesonto elizayo. Maningi amazwe asekhombise ukuthi impela cha ayafisa ukuba ingxenye yamazwe eBRICS ngenhloso phela yokuhlomula ke ebudlelwaneni bezomnotho phakathi kwalamazwe.
Well, this formation represents 31.5% of global GDP, so it's slightly larger now even than the G7. So that's the size of market that we potentially could participate in. So I think that's the first important thing. The second thing is how do we unlock those opportunities so that you reduce the risk of debt trap and you reduce what is a pedestrian at best economic growth at the moment and many distressed economies around the world. I think the key here is we need to return back to multilateralism. And as a council, we're agnostic as to where the trade and investment comes from. The only criteria for us, so whether it comes from east or west or north or south, the only criteria for us, what represents the best economic, trade, commerce and investment opportunities for our country. And industrialization, manufacturing, post-pandemic recovery are all very important elements, but all underlined and underscored by a need to strengthen multilateralism. There's a concern that we are moving into a more sort of polarized world.
As we speak now, close on to 20 or so other countries want to join BRICS, and they want us to admit them into the BRICS family. So at this summit, we are also going to be discussing the prospect of whether BRICS grows beyond the 5 countries or not, and many countries, some 20 or so, are lining up, standing at the door, and saying we see that BRICS as an important forum that focuses on development, focuses on progress. We want to join. So we've admitted some into the bank. Now some don't only want to be in the bank, they want to come through the front door and be members of BRICS as well. So we are going to be discussing that as well.
uNatasha Jubert oneminyaka engama-26 ubudala waseGauteng uthose isithaba sokuba nguMiss South Africa 2023 eSunbet Arena ePitoli.
Miss South Africa 2023 is Natasha!
Onobuhle basixhenxe bebekhuphisana ngesithaba esibizwa ngokuba yiMoana the Tree of Life. uBrian Govender oneminyaka eyi-26 ubudala waseGauteng uthweswe isithaba sendawo sesibini kunye noNande Mabala yena ke uneminyaka eyi-25 ubudala waseNtshona Koloni uphume kwindawo yesithathu. Ibikokuqala nqa ukuba amabhinqa nomama abatshatileyo bangenelele olukhuphiswano olubalaseleyo. Bukeli masithi qhwi entengisweni ungayindawo siyabuya emva kwalentengiso. Enkosi ngokuhlala nathi nisasibukele kaloku apha ekhaya jikelele kwinkqubo-ndaba yakho uDTT. Xa kuziwa ke kwezothutho abasetyhini abafane bafike ezingqondweni. Kodwa ke kwiphondo laseGauteng isebe lezendlela nothutho likhokelwa ngumphathiswa wasetyhini uKiriboni Diale Tlabela. Nanjengoko sithe gqolo ukubhiyozela ke amanina siye samkrweca ukuthetha naye ngohambo lwakhe njengetshantliziyo elilwela amalungelo abasetyhini. Masikubulise Kiriboni sikwamkele enkqubeni yethu Ekhaya jikelele.
Good morning to you and to your viewers at home. And thank you very much for having us as Gauteng Department of Transport and Logistics.
And happy Women's Month.
Happy Women's Month to you and to all women in South Africa.
Sifuna ukuthetha ke ngoku ngawe Gidiboni. I mean uqale uhambo lwakho, your journey while ubusesikolweni apho uba part of intshukumo or gender unit. Sathi siyakubona so ukhokela, you are leading in the space of politics. Khawusixelele thuphe ngawe nje.
It started at school, obviously as a student activist. I participated largely in SASCO and the ANC Youth League. Then after that, while in the Youth League, participated greatly in Young Women's Network movement. I was amongst those that led that in our country. And then joined the city of Tshwane to work with the then mayor, Dr. Gwen Ramokgopa, advising her on youth development matters. And yeah, that's how the journey started, largely in politics, at church, and here I am.
Wow. And
have been a champion of young women's agenda in the country, and participated largely on the youth development trajectory, the development of the youth development policy in our country. And in the city of Tshwane, then I moved to a gender unit for city of Tshwane to assist in developing the women empowerment and gender equality policies, and moved to the Gauteng Provincial Legislature, and last year got appointed as MEC for Transport and Logistics.
Halala.
Yeah.
Umandla, indeed, you are a true Mbokoto. And I mean, njengokuba ulinina. I mean, we see that even now, in as much as yakona uchinjo, but we still that there are still male-dominated industries like your software developing, your financial analysis, and you took up the space in an industry that was preserved and dominated by males. How did you take that? How did you take up that space without feeling intimidated?
By the way, people believe that I'm the first woman MEC for transport, roads and transport in Gauteng. I'm not the first. The first MEC for public works, roads and transport in Gauteng was a woman, our late comrade Joyce Khwadi. She's from Soweto. So I'm not the first. I'm not the first in Gauteng, and I had to take over where she left off. Obviously, this is one of the male-dominated industries. My department is male-dominated. My top management, it's male-dominated, and it's not allowed in our country. We have Employment Equity Act that we must be aligned and compliant with, and those are some of the challenges that I found within the industry. Largely also the public transport industry. The taxi industry is still male-dominated. The bus industry is still, the whole public sector, the whole public transport sector is still male-dominated. And then when you go to road infrastructure development, also there you still have a lot of males dominating the sector itself. And that's what we are finding ourselves to be dealing with. You know, we are in a country where today we must, the president has set aside at least 40% of procurement to be given to women entities. And this is one of the departments that is still struggling with that. So you can imagine my last 10 months of being in the department, trying to also change the face of the department, but also making sure that we really transform and make sure that women are able to participate in some of these sectors.
Wow, interesting. Now let's talk about the department that you are heading. What are some of the projects that you are currently spearheading for abantu besifazane? It seems that they are sidelined kwizinto ezininzi. So what are some of the projects that you have for women in your department?
One of the critical thing and very interesting is women in transport, women who are within the taxi industry. I found it very fascinating because all of us, it's associated with men, strong men, and many other things. And One of the things that I found very interesting was how they came about into business. Many of them did not come into the business because they wanted to or because it was their choice. It was because mainly after losing their loved ones and they had to take over the family business. And they are faced with challenges like many other sectors, the mining sector, within the financial sector. But there, it's quite intriguing that there's just a challenge. It's masculine. And I found them very interesting. We are soon to be launching a women in public transport forum for us to engage structurally with them and assist them. Remember, my department is responsible for ensuring that they register their business, secondly, have operating licenses. And like I say, that it's by default that you find that they have to take over a business that they don't know anything about, they don't understand. And in most cases, as widows, they will come to us to get an assistance. And we're trying to set up a desk within the department that will solely look into their challenges as those who would have lost their loved ones and because of the conditions are forced to then take over the business. Secondly is we have been engaged with various women within the sector. In the last year, we had a session with women within supply chain management that we partnered with NGOs that are working within our road infrastructure projects. The civil engineering sector itself is still very male-dominated. It's still very difficult for us to access women entities to help us build the road infrastructure in our province. So we're trying hard. We are hopeful that we'll be able to change, including women applying for senior positions within the transport and road infrastructure projects. You know, just not long, we advertised for a chief director position. Wow. We only had around 6 women applying for that. It's a cause for concern, and I think we need to find ways of encouraging women to really participate in this sector and come make a meaningful contribution. We really need to change the face of some of the sectors in our country. I mean, 26, 27 years into democracy, we're still struggling to get women in the sector. It's very masculine. You can imagine the past 10 months feels like the past 10 years because you must fight for one or two other things on behalf of other women.
And I mean, women have been trailblazers like yourself, which is really great. And I love that you touch on programs that you have for women. I mean, you're also assisting abafelokazi, you know, because I can imagine if ubaba mhlambe ibinguye ebesendla ekhaya athasweleke inina liyazibuza into okubana ndizawuqala ngaphi ndithini. So I really love that program that you have in place, and also assisting nabanye, because I know that in as much as it's a male-dominated industry, but I feel like women suffer the most, especially during COVID-19. They are still suffering the financial cost yayo. Ingaba mhlambe, I mean, if there is a woman watching out there, otinam ndiyafuna uba inxalenye yezi programs, where can they access them?
Remember, in the Gauteng provincial government, we have what is called Gauteng Enterprise Propeller that assists small, medium enterprises with accessing finances. I know that there's a program when you get an opportunity to be a service provider within our provincial government. The Gauteng Enterprise Propeller will be there to fund you and to assist you as a business entity. And we're encouraging women to come forward to participate, more especially in the road infrastructure development projects, because that's where you find a lot of construction mafias. And obviously, you'd know, in our nature, women, we always worry about our safety, and we are trying hard to make sure that the environment is conducive for them to also can participate. We've got targets that we must meet on a monthly basis, annually as a government, and prove that we are really transforming, and by ensuring that we allow and give women entities access. And that's what we're striving for, and that's why I'll come here and say we're encouraging them, please come and participate. But also women who wants to enter the public transport sector. Like I say to you, it's still not transformed. It's the big boys in the sector. The bus operators, it's big boys. The taxi industry, it's big boys. And we engage with them. We have structural engagement with the associations, Santago, GNTA, and requesting them to truly transform, make the business easier, modernize, and make it accessible to women and youth. This is one the taxi industry is one sector that really requires modernization. We are dependent on it to move the economy. And as a Gauteng provincial government, also we want to encourage people to use public transport. So the sooner they modernize, the better. You know, we have one of the projects we have is a pilot project that we did with Gautrain in Alexander Marlborough Station, where we partnered with the Taxi Association in Alex to have minibuses transporting people from the Gautrain station into the suburbs and surroundings of Alexander. Those taxis, those minibuses are driven by women.
Wow.
And it's a form of modernizing and showing the taxi industry that working together with us as government, we can do better. And I think you must go try them. It's one of the best. And I always say this is the future taxi that we want as future commuters, as current commuters. Me and you don't want a situation where we are inconvenienced as we commute in a taxi or in a bus. And I think that's more ideal, and we are hoping that they will also want to partner with us in different townships just to extend the service and make sure that we really revitalize the sector. We're dependent on it to move the economy of Gauteng.
And nyanisile kulo itsho into kubana insebenziswano ngamandla, because now we are in the 4th industrial revolution. As the world is evolving, we are introduced to e-hailing, and even e-hailing you find it obana in as much as bekhona bebaninzi, but you'll find la option eti women, meaning that women are even represented now that we're in the 4IR. And I mean, you recently traveled to Germany, which is really amazing. And I mean, it's Women's Month, and I mean, kuna manina abasibukeleyo namhlanje baqonda banam nina, I'm in a male-dominated industry. It's really hard for me to shine because it's the big guys. And I mean, athini amazwi okhuthaza, or maybe inina lisathi no, I also want to get into a male-dominated industry. I want to lead. I want to take up space. Ungathi mhlawumbe amazwi enkuthazo njengoko wena uye wabalinina elithela qaqamba, you are slaying in your politics.
No, the intention is not to slay. It's quite a difficult job, this. You know, COVID-19 introduced us, actually forced us as a people to quickly migrate from the old way of doing things into the internet way of doing things. And one of the things that came as a shock to the sector that one is overseeing is the e-hailing industry. And one of the things as a country we had not prepared for it, and we are currently amending our National Land Transport Act so that we are able to regulate the e-hailing. But also one of the calls that we've been making to the public transport industry is to accept that there's a new commuter, and a new commuter does not want to go to a bus stop, does not want to go to a corner and wait for a taxi, but will prefer to be on their gadget and be moved from one place to another. And we're trying hard to make sure that the two worked together, the e-hailing and the taxi industry in our province, as well as the metered taxis. And you know, one of the interesting things is the transformation that the metered taxis is moving into. I think they've been investigating better ways of communicating and being accessible to their market. And we are hopeful that as soon as there's an amendment, those who are within the e-hailing system will then also ensure that they register themselves and they have operating licenses. As for now, we are a bit limited, and you should remember it was introduced by foreign companies, your Ubers, your Bolts, and everybody else started coming into the space. So everybody else was not prepared for. And what we will call upon from those who are participating in these industries, including the established, I mean the metered and the taxi industries, to be tolerant. And we all work together to make sure that we move people of Gauteng freely and fairly. Secondly, I'm still calling upon women. There's women within also within the e-hailing system. We're calling upon them to participate. Like I say, this is one big industry that moves the economy. So you don't want to only have males participating, and you need all of us to participate. It's not an easy one. It will not be easy. Just to change the mindset that a woman can drive a taxi. We have a few around the country and in our province that are drivers. We've got a few that are owners, and we have, remember, then with the new e-hailing system, we had a lot of women, because of COVID, losing their jobs, entering into the market and wanting to participate. And we'll always protect them, and we'll always advocate for them. And we're looking forward to the amendments to be approved, and we're hoping that everybody else will participate. We are happy that the e-hailers themselves participated and made inputs towards the Act, the amendment of the Act, to accommodate them. It will protect them and their businesses also, and it will also help us create revenue out of that. It's quite important for us to also ensure there's regulations, and like any other public transport, they are also regulated.
Hi, they chose right. Thank you so much for joining us. You are a true inspiration to many women out there who feel that, you know what, it's a dim world for them to shine in male-dominated industries. Thank you so much for taking that space.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Right, Mugeli wamlo ke besincokola naye kuye kaloku umphathiswa opha kwisebe lezothutho uKidiboni Diale Tlabela esixela banzi ke ngomsebenzi omhle awenzayo kwelisebe sithi into yokubana nakubeni nje sibonela into yokubana amanina akathathelwa ngqalelo xa kuziwa kwimisebenzi apho funeke bephathe khona yena ke njengembokotho uyawaququzelela amanina into yokubana they must take up the space. Usixelele ke mbukeli nangeenkqubo ezikhona kwelisebe ezingakwazi kaloku into yokubana ziqaqambise inina. Sithi ke mbukeli umandla kuye nakuwe mbukeli apho ekhaya, kanti ngoku masithi qhuye evenkileni ungayindawo usabukele ekhaya jikelele apha kwinkqubo ndaba yakho OTT.
Siphinde sikwamukele mbukeli ekhaya jikelele, sibonga kakhulu ukuthi ke usahlanganyele kanye nathi. uMandisa Vundla yimbongi ethandwa kakhulu ke eningizimu Afrika eyazalela eSoweto. uMandisa ungumsunguli wePoetry Zone ZA, inhlangano egxile ekuthuthukiseni izinga nekhono kwezeyinkondlo eningizimu Afrika. uVundla ke uthisha kodwa futhi ke uphinde abe umeluleki kanye nomlondolozi ngale nje ke ukuba imbongi. Ukhuluma ngendlela izinkondlo ezibukwa futhi ezisetshenziswa ngayo kanye nendlela intsha ehlanganyela ngayo lezi ezeyinkondlo. Njengamanje ke mbukeli sixhumana kanye naye noma ke siyabheka nje ukuthi kuhamba kanjani lezi zeyinkondlo. Sikubingelele sikwamukele Mandisa Vundla lapha ekhaya jikelele, sibonga kakhulu ngokuba nathi.
Ngiyabonga. Sanibonani.
Sanibona, siyaphila nathi lapha ekhaya jikelele. Mandisa, ukudweba isithombe ngamagama kuyinto ethandekayo. Sitshele njeke ngohambo lwakho lokuba imbongi, umbhali kanye futhi nomculi.
So mangikhula mina ayekho umuntu wangifundisa ukuthi ngibhodle, and ayekho umuntu wangifundisa ukuthi like ngivule isifuba ngikhulume. So fortunately ngakhula ngithanda iart, and mangidinga ukuthi ngibhodle noma mangidinga ukuthi ngimemeze noma mangidinga ukuthi ngikhale ngabona ukuthi mangibhala kuba lula ukuthi ngiunderstand ukuthi kwenzakalani la emqondweni wami noma imizwa yami noma ngizizwa kanjani, you know. And so ngaqala ke ukubhala ngisasemncane around 14 years. Ngaqala ukubhala, ngakhula ngifuna ukuba i-actor, ngakhulela at a community theatre. And so mangiya ku-community theatre imentor yami engikhuthaza kakhulu ukuthi bhala mawukuthi unekhono lokuthi ubhale bhala. So ayike yasuka lapho ke indaba yokubhala ngase ngikushiya emuva ke ukufuna ukuba i-actor, ngase ngithi yazi ngizofocusa la poetry. Ngathola i-community yami 2009 on Facebook. Ngabe sengiqala ngihamba ama-events ke ama-open mics, ngifuna ukuzwa nami ngifuna ukuzibonela ukuthi abantu abafana nami baphila kanjani. Ngasuka lapho ngangenela i-slam poetry word and sound ama-competition. Ayi ngawina ngabona ukuthi yazi angisabuyele emuva. Ngizoyiqhubha nje la ngikhona. So from there on yeah, I think ngangena kanjalo ke ku poetry and solo ngibhala ke since ukuthi nje umehluko ukuthi manje sengifocuse kuyo as i-career yami. Angilokhu ngithi ngenza lokhu nalokhu ngithi no. Mawufuna ukwazi ukuthi ngiyini ngenzani ngithi mina ngumandisa, ngiyimbongi, ngiyabhala.
Oh, imbongi yabhala. Bese ngizazobuza ukuthi hayi ucula khona kugena kanjani la kwimi?
Ukucula i-album yami, so ngenze ngine-album A Love Song for Miriam. So ngifeature ama-musicians aculayo. Mina angiculi, mina ngenza inkondlo, ngihaye inkondlo mina. Bona bayacula, so sihlangabezana kanjalo ke, but mina indaba yami straight, mina ngiyimbongi, ngiyabhala, bona bayacula. So music kungena lapho ke.
Oh, okay ke mbhali ongubandisa. Ngesikhathi ke ubhala inkondlo enesihloko esithi uyinene, abaningi babeyichaza njengenkondlo enza ukuba uyilalele noma ke iyilaleli zizindle futhi ikhuthaza nje nophenyo ke thizeni. Usabela kanjani ke kulokhu?
Yazi mangiphuma la endlini ngiyothenga isinkwa nginovalo. Makumele ngiphume nje la endlini ngiyemsebenzini nginovalo because as abantu besifazane la eMzansi asikhuselekile, you know. Uyinene uyasikhombisa ukuthi ungaphuma la uthi wena uyahamba uyothenga igrocer uyothenga isinkwa noma uyemsebenzini yazi ukuthi ngenzeka ukuthi ungabuyi. So yonke leyo mizwa leyo naleyo mcabango leyo mangicabanga ngiyisaphi ngoba ngeke ngikwazi ukuthi ngiphile kanje ngamihla. Khona la kumele ngiyise khona ngizibuza ukuthi yini uvalo lwani lolu. So indaba ka uyinene ingilethela uvalo nokwesaba nokuphila kwesaba la eSouth Africa. So ngase ngibona ukuthi no yazi ngizodinga ukuthi ngibhodle ngikhulume kakhulu ukuthi umntana sekhaya makafika late endlini ngiyamthethisa ukuthi hayibo endlini ufika ngo-7 why ngimthethisa? Angimthethisi ngoba khona into ayenzile wrong, ngimthethisa ngoba asiphephile. You understand? So and it's wrong ukuthi manje sozothethisa umntwana. I mean 7 o'clock it's not late, you know. It's not like ufika umntwana ngo-10 or ngo-12 ebusuku, you know. Ubambezelekile la bambezeleke khona ama-taxi and so forth. So lokho kusaba lokho ngiyabona ukuthi no man indaba ka uyinene ayingiphathi kahle and akusuyi inene baningi, you know. Sibaningi so ayingiphathi kahle so ngabhala ke inkondlo ke ekhuluma ngalokusaba lokho ngihlale ngiphila nawo.
Yeah, ukuba imbongi ukusebenzisa amazwi kusemqoka ke kakhulu. Abanye bangasho ke nokuthi isishoshovu samalungelo abantu abathile ikakhulukazi phela ke awabantu besifazane. Ngabe inyanga besifazane mhlawumbe kukhona nesakusho kithi ngokuba umuntu wesifazane kuleli?
Yeah, I mean ikhono lona ngiphiwe ngibusisekile and ngiyambonga uNkulunkulu ukuthi angifundelanga lokho ngikwenzayo. Wangipha wathi nje ngizokupha amagama ukuthi wenzani ngawo wena uzobona kodwa mina ngizokupha amagama. And then ukuba umuntu wesifazane ngiyakwazi ukuthi ngibhale nginkinga engibhekane nazo. Ngiyakwazi nokuthi akusinkinga zodwa kodwa ngoba ngiyajabula kwamanye amalanga ngivuka ngijabulile, you know. And then ngiyazibuza ukuthi okay namhlanje ilanga liphumile I've got air in my lungs ngenze njani ngiyabhala, you know, noma ngijabulile but ukuthi ngikwazi ukuthi ngizikhulumele ngikwazi ukuthi ngizimele ngikhono lami
Yeah.
Into engithanda kakhulu ke.
Ngiyabona futhi ukuthi uphinde wabhala nenkondlo yokuhlonipha ke umama uMiriam Makeba. Isihloko sayo ke sithi A Love Song for Miriam. Ubamsane ke nezinye imbongi lapha ezosaziya ngibonile lapha khona oLebu Mashile kanye noMthunzikazi Mbungwane. Ingabe nje koba njani ukusebenza ndawonye nalabo sengibabalile?
Ngizokhuluma ngoLebu ngoba uLebu ukhuluma ngestory sakhe ku Dear Body inkondlo ngayibhala iDear Body ngoba njengabantu besimame sithwele kanzima mawuqala uphuma la emgaqweni kunama expectations for imizimba yethu ukuthi kumele ube nefika kumele ube nezinqo kumele ube fit kumele ube kanje so ngikhuluma kakhulu ku Dear Body ngokusikhuthaza ngikhuthaza imizimba yethu ukuthi hayibo asizelanga la emhlabeni ukuthi sibe ne flat stomach asizelanga la emhlabeni ukuthi sikhece izithu so we must love our bodies sizikhuthaze every single day masivuka ukuthi hayibo umzimba ngiyabonga waze wangithwala and so ku Dear Body ngifeature uLebu ngifeature uMbali Mystical Ebony ngifeature uLerato Sokhulu bakhuluma ngendlela imizimba yabo seke yagcekwa ngayo mebehamba emgaqweni noma nje bebekhula and so iDear Body yasikhuthaza ke sonke njengabantu besimama ukuthi hayibo ngeke nje sizwe ngani we're going to love ourselves and we are going to be thankful for lemizimba le esinayo.
Yaziwe Mandisa mina ngeke ngabona lapha yana ko social media ikakhulukazi lapha ko TikTok kunomfana omncane nje obizwa ubani nje igama lakhe umisebenze emihle something noma ngasalazi kahle igama lakhe kodwa ngiyazi ukuthi usase imbongi encane I think mhlawumbe no 7 if not 8 years so into enjengalezo nje bengifuna ukukubuza ukuthi njengomuntu yena oseyimbongi esimkantshubomvu iyiphi advice ongayinikeza abazali mhlawumbe beingane abayibona ukuthi kunekhono okanye nje umuntu naye osemdala oyimbongi safufusa naye ofisayo ukuthi ayibona umsebenzi wakhe uqhakambiswa futhi usabalala.
Oh man, iba nenkani ngephupho lakho. I think abazali kumele basikhulule. Abazali bethu bakhule ngendlela ehlukile kunalethi nesikhula ngayo. Mina umama wangikhulula ngathi mangithi ngifuna ukwenza art wathi kuphi ngathi angazi. Wayithola i-community theatre la bengishiya khona beyangidropa off ngomgqibelo bengishiya khona angilande ntambama angilethela ukudla angikhuthaza you understand so ngila because wangixhasa so ngithanda ukuthi kubazali khululani ingane uma ubona ukuthi ingane yakho inekhono mkhulule support umxhase and awazi ukuthi umphumela waleyo nto leyo ukuthi uzoba yini kusasa. Wingane ngithi qhubekani nibhale.
Yes.
And sometimes awudinga nokuthi uye ngaphandle noma uye kude kunala uhlala khona ungabhala la ukhona unikeza umama uthi mama ngibhalile namhlanje uzwa kanjani unikeza abangani bakho uthi ngani yazi izono bengisacabanga mani ngibhalile uzwa kanjani you don't need to there's no need ukuthi ufuna ukuba famous ukuthi ngifuna ukubonwa ngikuzwiwe no improver develop umsebenzi wakho kahle then from that point uzobona nawe maso improve ukuthi amathuba azozivulekela wona amathuba.
Yes and siyathemba ukuthi ke abavulekele ngempela amathuba siyafisa impela ukuthi abavulekele amathuba laba basafufusa. Sibonga kakhulu ke Mandisa avundla ngesikhathi sakho ube nosuku oluhle. Mbukeli ke njengamanje sothi nje ke ku8 siyabiyomva kwi8. Sikwamukele mbukeli ekhaya Jikelele sesifikile qathatha ke naleyo ngosi yakho eyintandokazi yama trends kanti ke ama trends esinawo namhlanje sino #MissSA2023 #HomeAffairs and #KaiserChiefs kholosa kwenzakalani ku Miss SA
lala yayiphezolo bekulithi jonga bekusinde ngobetholo eSunbet Arena eTimes Square pha eMainland ePitoli bekubanjwe ukhuphiswano wena nokusilwa minyaka lelu ka Miss SA 2023 uMiss SA 2022 ke uNdavi noReki uye wanikezela ngokusesikweni iwonga iCrown kuye uMiss SA23 omtsha uNatasha Joubert. Bona nke Matheba uye walibiza igama lakhe ndiyaqiniseka into okubana yintoni ibisenzeka pha engqondweni yakhe xa sekubiza igama lakhe emincile. And eyona nto wena ndiyithandayo ngesistory sakhe is that wake waza nangaphambili. So ebe entarisha okwesibini wangena pha kunyaka ka2021 kodwa akaphumelela njengo Miss A. Lona buhle ke ongusomashishini uneminyaka engama26 ubudala obeyisasaza ke ibhexesha nguye uBonang Matheba bekuhle kakhulu. Make sive ke into okubana pha kumakhasi onxibelelwano uX.com baphefumule besithini na.
Hawu umengameli wethu wezwe umengameli uCyril Ramaphosa uphefumulile naye lapha ku-X uthi congratulations to our newly crowned Miss SA 2023 uMiss Natasha Joubert. Your resilience is a testament to our fighting spirit as a nation. We wish you a fruitful year of reign and we look forward to you making a positive impact as our Miss South Africa.
Halala sive ke owesibini into okubana yena uphefumule wathini na. Ujabulani Magdo, ndiyacinga mhlawumbe into okubana nguMcDonald uthi Natasha Joubert has been crowned as the new Miss SA 23. Clap clap clap. Ala gqiyazana siyazinqanga wesi Ekhaya Jikelele.
Kanti ke mangabe siqhubekela phambili ke kuyi hashtag yethu yesibili ithi #HomeAffairs. Ama-Hawks ke mbukeli abophe abantu bokufika njengoba bese sabika ngaphambilili kuleli abangama67 igoli izolo. Ngesikhathi phela ephuma umkhankaso nomnyango wezasekhaya wokuqinisekisa ukulwa nobugebengu emphakathini. Lo mkhankaso nje kubuqhubeka ngobusuku bangomgqibelo ngoba phela ungqongqoshe zasekhaya uDokotela uAaron Motsoaledi uthi ke abanye abantu bokufika kuleli benza sengathi bathole indawo yokuhlala emahotela angekho kuleli noma ke bese ke behlala unomphela bengabe sahamba. So ke baphefumulile ke nababukeli mayelana lolu daba lwabo kufika abathe babanjwa. uMichael Mbada uthi yena those Pakistani and Ethiopian who come via Beit Bridge every day, Home Affairs at the border, they don't care, they just take money and let them in. Uthi yena ke ama-Pakistan nama-Ethiopian angena lapha eBeit Bridge nje awanandaba nalutho vele nabo abantu abagade khona abanandaba bathatha nje imali babafake phakathi.
Kanti uGarth Kopiena uthi Pakistan economy has collapsed and inflation is 25%. India won't accept them. They have contacts for documents at Home Affairs. Therefore, they continue to come in by hundreds daily. SABC is concerned about black illegals. Uyachi dokbana economy yapha ePakistan yehlile ngeyona ndlela esisimanga. Uyachi dokbana ilizwe laseNdia asoze libamkele konke kuba uyachi dokbana banazo contacts ze documents kwisebe le Home Affairs. Kabantu ke bathe baphefumula pha kumakhasi onxibelelwano uX.
I-hashtag yokugcina ke ithi #Kaizer Chiefs.
Uinde Lindland uthi today I saw Kaizer Chiefs of old. Today I was proud of Kaizer Chiefs. Uyathi ba babuyile.
Manje igama lakhe lo muntu obhalele uX Inde Lendlela.
Oh Inde Lendlela. Inde Lendlela.
Ayi uyishaka esikhuwa. Ayini ke i-tweet yesibili uColin Macheke uthini ke yena Makholi.
Uthi it took the gallant efforts of Kaizer Chiefs to restore some pride for the Sowetans by going to Cape Town and beating Cape Town City. Give those men some with crushed eyes. Shaken, not stirred.
Uyabanqoma phela bajabula abalandeli beKaizer Chiefs bakithi sekuyisikhathi eside phela bengathola ukuwina. So ke mbukeli ke sivala lapho ke zama trends namhlanje. Sibonge kakhulu ngabo labathi baphefumule lapha ekhasini uX. Okwamanje ke mbukela sinje qu 8 olo siyabuya emva komzuzwane ungalingi unyakaza sikakahambi sasekhona. Sikwamukele mbukeli ekhaya Jikelele. Kubonakala ke kuneyingxushunxushu endlunkulu kaZulu ngemva kokusabalala kwestatimende esithi inkonyama yesizwe samaZulu uMisuzulu kaZwelithini usexoxe umkhulumeli wakhe umntwana uAfrika Zulu. Umntwana wasonkweni ke uyakuphika lokhu kanti uthi lesi statement esingamanga alihlaza cwe. Ngalokhu ke sekuvulwe ngisho neyecala kanti umdidiyeli ke walolu hlelo uCalvin okwadludla uthunyelelwe emininingwane yecala kanye nenombolo yalo. Ukuthola kabanzi ke ngalokhu sixhumana naye ke umntwana wasonkweni uAfrika Zulu. Mngunomnyama siyakhuleka.
Ninjani Hlabangani? Ngibingelele kubabukele emakhaya.
siyaphila mntwana waSonkweni. Besicela nje ukuthi uqale usidwebele isithombe ukuthi ngabe iqhamukapi ke lembiko ethu uxoshiwe njengomkhulumeli weNgonyama.
Oh, imbiko ayithi ngixoshiwe ithi kunama rumors ukuthi ngiyenzeka ngiqoshwe uyabo.
Yes.
Statement si fraud futhi bathathe bayo edita PDF from one of the old statements. It's something that ongayibiza nje fraud yaku online. Base bethatha signature yami bayifaka ezantsi uyabo. So but it's an internal job, it's people very close about my circles age. It's very challenge manje ngoba should lezi statement anyone umuntu sevuleka amehlo ukuthi anyone can edit the statement distort a message. Besingekho ke statement that we had. So and when nedate yakhona umhla ka11 shothi into eyenziwe shothi kuthanga ngoba mina ngithola izolo ngithunyelelwa umahlobo ethi hawu makema awubuke lento le ngithi wena hawu faka le signature yami pho content yakhona uyabona ukuthi umuntu o mastermind o manipulator i-situation and kunzima ukuthi ungathi ubani percent kodwa ke ngoba sesivula icala lizokwazi ukuthi ama forensics determine ukuthi ekabani icomputer esetshenzisiwe ukuthi igqekeze ilokhu i-statement sakudala i-letterhead yisilo ukuze bekwazi ukuthi benze lento abagcina sebeyenza.
Yebo mntwana waSonkweni mhlawumbe ingabe aphuma phi lama rumors njengokusho kwakho phela kuyashiwo kuthiwa hayi ayinuki inyama ingosiwe ingabe mnjani kodwa ubudlelwano phakathi kwakho kanye noNomthebe wesizwe konke kusahamba kahle?
As far as I'm concerned nje konke kuhamba kahle ngibikele iNgonyama ngale fraudulent statement ecreatiwe kanje sikhuluma izolo ngasho ukuthi it's a challenge uma sekuzoba neculture enje ukuthi nombani ofuna ukumanipulate isystem and create ama divisions manipulate statement asethi leso statement isesayinwe sakhishwa umkhulumeli nawubuka izinto ezibhaliwe lana none of it makes sense. So isimo nje sinjalo in as far as we are concerned iNgonyama isaphila umdlalo wethu usaphila sisaphokopele phambili sisayibambe nje kanjalo.
Oh sibonge ke mntwana waSonkweni sizwile ke ukuthi ena khona njengoba usushilo na ukuthi kuvulwe icala mhlawumbe nje phambi kokuthi kudedele ungabe ungashitshela ukuthi ngabe zithini ezakamuva mayelana nokudunguzela kwenkosi uma ngosuthi Buthelezi?
Besingakathola ama update uLizel yena uyayis-update kodwa sagcine nje sitholele public briefing eyenziwe iqembu lenkatha besho ukuthi cha umntwana responda kwi-medication so far siselapho kuleso simo leso msakazi. Kanti nje bengicela uxwayisa abantu emakhaya ukuthi sicela beverify makwenzeka ngoba asazi ukuthi esilandelayo sothini istatement.
Yes.
Ngoba lo muntu lo ohlezi futhi sezoqala lezi mhlawumbe singalendela noma yini. Ngeke nje ukuxwayisa abantu bazi ukuthi aba-verify bakhona i-statement abangayithola kahle njengale.
Yebo mntwana uAfrika Zulu sibonge kakhulu ke ngesikhathi sakho mbukelelo bekumntwana uAfrika Zulu besixoxisana naye namhlanje kuseni mayilana nodaba oluphumile lokungazi ukuthi khona ungaboni ngalisolunye nanokuthi uxoshwe njengomkhulumeli wesizwe kodwa ke cha usecacisile ukuthi cha lokho kungamampunge konke kuhamba kahle. Hayi ke mbukeli sesifike ekuphetheleni ke lo hlelo lwethu namhlanje besinimphathele nasibonga kakhulu ngokuthi nisinikeze indlebe siyabuya futhi kusasa ngesikhathi esifanayo.
Sibonga kakhulu nawe ukuthi usitholele indaba sawubona futhi ngesikhathi esifanayo kusasa.
Mbukeli usale
Yebo mbukeli usale kahle.
Bye.